YouTube? It's been 10,000 of Yugioh. This is the second time recording this video because sometimes I do typos. So, I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite Yu-Gi-Oh characters from the entire Yu-Gi-Oh series. Excluding Arc V and the new V-Rains because I have not gotten into those yet. So as far as I'm in Zexal. But if I ever get around to watching those two newer animes, maybe I'll see if I'll update the list. But until then, here is my top 10 favorite Yu-Gi-Oh characters. Number 10, Shark. The only character I like from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal was a very, how should I say, boring anime. No offense to those of you who enjoyed Zexal, but Yugi was just this whiny, annoying, he talked like this to me. He talked with a nasally voice, I found him annoying. But a character I didn't find annoying was Shark. And Shark starts off as this jerkish, rude character, and through, as the anime progresses, he gets a lot of character development and ceases to be a villain and becomes more of an anti-hero. Number 9, and of course the only female on this list, is Akiza. Now, I like Akiza because, one, she is the most badass female character. I'm sorry for you My Valentine fans. You can come at me with the pitchforks in the comment section. On top of that, she is the character who inspires most of our modern-day plant decks. If it wasn't for Akiza, we probably wouldn't even have a plant archetype as powerful as we do. Since I'm pretty sure that the increase in plant support came in the 5Ds era. Number 8, Jaden Yuki. Oh, I know, GX characters. Everyone hates GX. I know. But I like Jaden Yuki, and I only like him though in the subbed in the sub seasons we didn't get. It gave him a more serious side to his personality, which is what I really enjoyed about that subbed anime for GX. Number 7 is Bastion Misawa. Now, why do I like Bastion? He's voiced by the same actor who voices Seto Kaiba. That's the one reason I like him. Plus, he's also the character who gave us lots of funny Yu-Gi-Oh monsters that, I don't know, like his decks don't seem like they would actually work in the real world. Like Mathematician's the only monster I can think of that really comes along with Bastion Misawa. That and the Water Dragon, but you would never see those two cards in the same deck. He also plays something called the plus and minus monsters, which I'm hoping that someday Konami will print those out as actual monsters, because I'm really curious to see what kind of typing they are. Number 6, Joey Wheeler. You guys probably know this guy. He's the hot-headed Red Eyes player / warrior player in the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime, best friend to the hero of the story. I like Joey because I can kind of relate to him. He's the underdog. He's the guy everybody looks at and says, you'll never get anywhere. You'll never be anything. And that's why I like Joey, because he is definitely the kind of guy who proves those people wrong. Everyone looks at him, and I can relate to him because I feel like that's how people see me, as this character, this person who will never get anywhere with their goals. And Joey constantly proves those people wrong, even Seto Kaiba to a point. Next one, number 5, Jack Atlas. Wow, Jack Atlas was the Seto Kaiba of the 5Ds era, and I really like this character because, well, for one, he's kind of a stuck-up punk, and I find it funny, like, especially when people point out his absurdities. And then, of course, his badass boss monster, the Red Dragon Archfiend, which actually was the synchro monster that actually initially got me into the 5Ds game, because I had stepped out of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then 5Ds came along and I got back into it much deeper than I had been before. And one of my first synchro monsters that I ever tried to get a hold of was a Red Dragon Archfiend, and there you go. Alright, number 4, speaking of jerks, Seto Kaiba. Let's face it, we couldn't have a top 10 list without having Seto Kaiba on this thing. Seto Kaiba is, he's the guy who plays the iconic Blue Eyes White Dragon, which, let's face it, I was lucky enough when I was a kid, I managed to convince my grandmother to buy me one of each, so I had Starter Deck Yugi and Starter Deck Kaiba. And it was so not fair to play Yu-Gi-Oh! With my cousins, because I always played with Kaiba's deck. Because, let's face it, you know, Blue Eyes White Dragon, best normal monster in the game. Still to this day, it's the best normal monster in the game, I would argue. Alright, next one. Number 3. Zane Truesdale. That's right. I like Yugi Moto, am a fan of Cyber Dragons, and Zane is the guy who really brings that deck to life. Zane is this amazing character who kind of does the opposite of what most characters do. Most characters start off as a villain and then later become a hero. Zane does the opposite. He starts off to be a good guy, or one of the good guys, and later on ends up kind of becoming a villain. Then, you know, back to anti-hero. But he's actually one of the more interesting characters from the GX saga. He's very much a Seto Kaiba-esque character. And in the fact that, let's face it, Cyber End Dragon looks like Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. So, you know, I don't know if there's a correlation there, but that would be interesting if there was. And that's where I see it. Like, I know everyone would probably think that Chaz is Jaden's rival in GX, but I really feel like that's Zane, because Zane's the only one who's never lost to Jaden. I think the only loss that I know of to a fellow hero that Zane has suffered from, I believe, is his brother Cyrus. I can't remember that episode, but it was a subbed episode. Alright, number 2. That's right, the original Yugi Moto. Yugi Moto is indeed one of my favorite characters because, like Joey, he's kind of the story of the underdog. The guy that, you know, nobody thinks is going to do anything special or great because he's this short, you know, kind of wimpy kid. And then he goes to becoming the king of games. He's very much the story, you know, of this kid who's bullied and kind of overcomes it. And, you know, a lot of us can relate to that as children, so of course I would put Yugi on my list of favorite characters. I don't really care for much of his type of monsters. I mean, the Dark Magician's a pretty legit monster, just saying. Though, I mean, there's so much lore surrounding the monster. So, yeah, Yugi's on the list. Now, for my favorite character. This is my favorite one among any of the characters in all of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes that I have watched so far. And yes, it is a main protagonist, and it is Yusei Fudo. Why is Yusei my favorite one? Well, for one, he is actually, for me, he's the most inspirational character among the entire cast of characters in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. He's the guy who comes from nothing and grows into something important. If you don't know, he basically comes from what is the equivalent in the real world of the ghetto. You know, he comes from the poorest neighborhood, he digs to the trash for scrap and things like that, and actually some of the cards that he plays in the show. I mean, he's the guy who literally plays the junk deck. The drunk deck. No, he doesn't play the drunk deck, he plays the junk deck. So it's very much a description of where he comes from. He feels like, you know, he's this kind of guy who's an orphan. He's lived in the worst parts of the world, or of his world, I should say, and, you know, he grows and becomes something great. Like, if you don't know, by the end of the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D series, if you go into the subs, where they stop dubbing it, you find out that Yusei becomes a scientist. So, from, you know, nothing to being this champion, this hero, and then later on becoming a scientist, he's very much an inspirational character. He's the type of guy who that you follow, and, you know what I mean, like, he's the guy you would want to be if you're a leader, and he's the guy that you want to follow if you're choosing to follow somebody, because Yusei believes in people, and he believes in himself, and that he has great potential and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. He's also the most mature of the characters on the main characters, in my opinion. That's why we like 5Ds, I guess, because it was a more mature Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah. Alright, so that's my list, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you guys will leave a comment down below and let me know who your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh characters are. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for future content. Make sure you go down into the comments and leave a comment for where you would like the channel to go and for future decks that you would like to see. I've got no problem giving the people what they want. As you can see on the screen are the titles to all of my other social media pages. Please feel free to check out my other YouTube channel, Unbound Series channel, and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and my Facebook page, Unbound Book Series. I post a lot of things over there that I think you guys will find entertaining and interesting, and check into the description for ways that you can support this channel. I'm Ben 10,000 of Yugioh, and I'm signing off.